He bought coffee for a crying woman. She was the CEO looking for her next hire. A kind stranger bought coffee for a crying woman in a cafe. He had no idea she was the CEO of a billion-dollar company, and she was about to change his life forever. Before we dive in, please support us by subscribe, like, and share for more with activating the notification bell. Thank you. It was one of those gray mornings in downtown Chicago when the sky wept with quiet sadness. The rain tapped on the sidewalks, umbrellas bobbed like jellyfish, and most people rushed about, heads down, ignoring the world around them. But one man, Jamal Thompson, 28, unemployed but hopeful, walked slower than most. He had just come from another job interview. He had worn his only good shirt and tie, again, and brought his carefully printed resume in a plastic folder to keep it from getting wet. The receptionist had smiled politely, but Jamal could already tell from the waiting room full of suits that he was just another number to them. Feeling tired and disheartened, Jamal stopped into a local coffee shop to dry off and gather his thoughts. His wallet was tight, but he figured he could afford one small coffee. As he stood in line, he noticed a woman sitting alone at a corner table. She was older, dressed in a sleek dark coat, but what caught Jamal's attention was the look on her face. Her hands covered her eyes, and her shoulders shook. She was crying. Everyone else in the cafe seemed to pretend she wasn't there. They kept sipping, typing, scrolling, but not Jamal. He hesitated, then stepped out of line. He walked over to her table gently and said, "Excuse me, ma'am, are you okay? Would you like a coffee?" "On me." The woman looked up, startled. Her eyes were red, but there was something powerful behind them. She blinked a few times, then gave a weak smile. I'd like that," she whispered. Jamal nodded. "Black cream. Sugar, just black," she replied. He came back moments later with 2 coffees and handed one to her. Then he sat across from her quietly, sipping his own. She took a deep breath. "Rough morning," he chuckled. "Something like that." "You." The woman let out a short laugh through her tears. "Rough year." They sat for a moment, the silence between them comforting. Then she said, "Thank you for the coffee. And for noticing. You looked like you needed it." Jamal said, honestly, "No one deserves to cry alone." The woman extended her hand. "I'm Victoria." He shook it. "Jamal." Victoria stared into her coffee as if the swirling black liquid held the answers she had been chasing for years. "You ever feel like you've built something great, but still lost yourself along the way?" Jamal nodded. "I've never built anything that great. But yeah, I know that feeling." Victoria smiled slightly. "I started my company 15 years ago with nothing but an idea and a laptop. Now, it's worth over 600 million. I should be proud, right?" Jamal's eyebrows raised. You're a CEO, was she corrected. "I stepped down this week. Burnout, board pressure. They said I needed to recalibrate. Funny thing is, I don't even know who I am anymore." Jamal didn't judge. He just listened. Victoria looked at him. "What about you, Jamal? What's your story?" He smiled shyly. "Not quite as fancy. Grew up on the South Side. Took care of my mom after my dad passed. Studied computer science when I could. Worked night shifts at grocery stores to get by. I've been applying for tech jobs, but no luck." Victoria raised an eyebrow. "Computer science?" "Yeah," Jamal said. "Back-end systems. Data security. Nothing too flashy. I love the logic of it. It makes sense even when life doesn't." She stared at him for a long second. "Can I see your resume?" Jamal blinked. Sure." He pulled it out from his folder and handed it across the table. Victoria's eyes scanned the paper. She frowned, not in disappointment, but in surprise. "This is good. Really good." Jamal shrugged. "Doesn't seem to matter. I don't have the right connections." She put down the paper and looked directly at him. "You just made one." 2 days later, Jamal got a call from a blocked number. "Hello, Jamal. It's Victoria. From the cafe." He stood up in his apartment like he'd been electrocuted. "Oh, yes. Hi. I couldn't stop thinking about our conversation," she said. "Would you be willing to come into my office this week? I'd like you to meet someone." Jamal was stunned. "Absolutely. Thank you." He hung up and immediately started pacing, his heart beat out of his chest. Was this really happening? That Thursday, he arrived at a massive glass building downtown. The receptionist smiled when he mentioned Victoria's name and led him to the 17th floor. He was escorted into a large conference room. Victoria was already there, this time dressed like a corporate warrior, sharp suit, no tears. By her side stood a man with a silver tie and a tablet. "This is Mr. Trent, the current CTO," she said. "I told him about you." Mr. Trent nodded. "We've reviewed your resume and portfolio. Your code samples were impressive. Tell us what motivates you." Jamal took a breath. "My mom," he said. "She always told me that success isn't about titles, it's about lifting others as you climb. I want to build systems that help people. That's what drives me." The two executives exchanged a look. Mr. Trent smiled. "Well said." Victoria turned to Jamal. "We have an opening on our systems team. It's remote hybrid. Starting pay is $92,000. Benefits included. Would you be interested? Jamal's world stopped spinning. He barely whispered, yes, I would. Starting the new job was both exhilarating and terrifying. Jamal threw himself into the work. The code base was complex, but he was ready for it. Victoria didn't micromanage him, but she checked in occasionally, usually with a smile and a warm, "How's the code treating you?" Jamal became known among the team for his work ethic, creative problem-solving, and willingness to help others. But he never forgot how it started with a small act of kindness. One afternoon, Victoria called him into her office. "You've been doing well," she said, "and the feedback from Trent has been excellent. But there's something I haven't told you." Jamal tilted his head. "The day you met me in the cafe," she said, "I wasn't just crying because I was tired. I had lost someone close to me, my brother. He passed away the night before, and no one knew." Jamal's heart sank. "I'm so sorry." She nodded. "He used to say, the right people show up when you need them most. I think you were one of those people, Jamal." He didn't know what to say. She continued, "I stepped down from the CEO title, but I'm starting a new venture focused on mentorship and impact. When I launch it, I want you on my founding team." Jamal's eyes widened. "Me, yes, because you're not just smart, you have heart, and that matters more than any degree." A year later, Jamal stood on a small stage at a tech conference. He was no longer the nervous young man in a coffee shop. He was the lead architect of a new platform that connected underprivileged youth with free coding mentorship, internships, and job pipelines, Victoria's dream project. The crowd applauded as he told his story. But what touched everyone most wasn't the tech, it was the coffee. "I didn't know who she was," Jamal said, smiling at Victoria in the front row. "I just saw someone who looked like they needed a moment of kindness. I gave a coffee, and in return, I got a future." Victoria stood and clapped. Others followed. After the talk, a teenage girl approached him, eyes full of hope. "How do I start?" she asked. Jamal handed her a card. "Start here. And remember, sometimes the smallest actions lead to the biggest changes." As the crowd dispersed, Jamal looked up at the sky, clear and blue. This time he had a job, a mission, and a team that believed in him. But more than anything, he had something he hadn't felt in a long time, purpose. And it all began with one cup of coffee.